We've been talking a lot recently about a Barbie as it continues to break all sorts of box office barriers. It's been incredible. But one of the stories in movies that's kind of been shuffled a little bit to the side has been the fate of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which, hey, it's crossed the $500 million mark, but is yet still considered a disappointing turn for the film when it was considered to make more. Was Barbie ultimately the culprit for Mission Impossible not doing as well as it could? That is the subject of today's Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys got a question for our show, you can go ahead and call it in at 951-268-4259. We pick out one or two questions every day. And again, today's question is about, did Barbie kill Mission Impossible? Check it out.
Hey, John and crew, this is Aaron from Queens, New York, the home of Spider-Man. And I wanted to just bring up something about Mission Impossible. All the other Mission Impossible movies for the opening weekend did open up to around the same as this, between $40 and $60 million. They made a bulk of almost all their money throughout the week after, with good word of mouth and just repeat viewings. I actually do believe that Barbieheimer did interrupt the rhythm of this Mission Impossible movie, and I think that it is the reason why it didn't work out for Mission Impossible.
Thanks a lot for calling that in, man. And yeah, look, that has been a question that's been coming up is like, did Barbieheimer? Now, I've made the argument before that I don't think we can blame it. By the way, for the record, I love Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Love this movie. I think it's fantastic. That said, the notion that we can blame the box office, I'm not going to say failure, but underperformance. The box office underperformance of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, at least underperforming from what all of us expected it to do. I don't believe you can blame it on Barbie or Oppenheimer. I've said before that I think you can make a case if Mission Impossible opened to like $100 million and then the next week it just disappeared, fell off the radar. Maybe then, but the reality is that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning opened to around 50. Which is good, but it's not spectacular. It's not great. And the caller is absolutely right when they say, hey, historically, the Mission Impossible films have all kind of opened in that range. True. But none of the Mission Impossible films have made $1 billion, right? They've all done well, some better, some not as well. But, so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning opening around the 50 range, not at the top of the opening for Mission Impossible movies, but in the range. It's in the range. Just because it opens to 50 something million does not mean it's going to go on to make 700 million. Most films that open to 50 million do not go on to make $700 million, right? And I would also say this. The idea that Barbie and Oppenheimer, killed Mission Impossible in its tracks, I would suggest this. Mission Impossible got to open 1 week before Barbie, so it had a weekend all to itself. You know what movie didn't get to have a week all to itself? Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer had to open on the same day as Barbie. Didn't have a week to itself, and it had to contend head-to-head with the Plastic Blonde. Oppenheimer has now cracked the top 10 highest-grossing R-rated films of all time. It has made $650 million at the box office, which means even though it had to open head-to-head with Barbie, never had a week to itself, it has made more than $100 million more than Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning has, going head-to-head with Barbie. The point here is that people who wanted to see Oppenheimer were going to go see Oppenheimer, even if Barbie was in theaters. My contention would be this. If people wanted to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, they would have gone to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Guess what? There's two movies this week I'm really looking forward to seeing. Strays, which we're going to go see tonight, and Blue Beetle, which I'm going to go see tomorrow. One is not stopping me from seeing the other. I want to see both of these movies, so I'm going to go see both these movies. And if I couldn't see, Strays today, I'll see them in a couple of days. And if I can't see it in a couple of days, I'll see it next week. Either way, if I wanted to see a movie, I'm going to go see a movie. If people wanted to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, they would have gone out to see Dead Reckoning Part 1. It doesn't matter that Barbie came out the week after or that Oppenheimer was out there. Yeah, those movies made a lot of money, but they made them against each other head to head, so there's room for other movies to do it as well if they wanted to see them. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. Guys, as a small business owner, I am finding myself having to be in negotiations all the time, whether it's with new contractors, vendors, or even agencies that represent our company. Now, I don't like to go into these negotiations unarmed, so I found the perfect class on MasterClass, The Art of Negotiation by Chris Voss, a real-life former FBI lead hostage negotiator. Taking this class on MasterClass made me feel a lot more equipped and confident going into all these various negotiations I have to do on a regular basis. With MasterClass, you can learn from the best to become your best anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. An annual membership starts at just $10 a month, and you get unlimited access to every instructor, thousands of online lessons, exclusive content, insight, and much more. There are over 180 classes to pick from, everything from filmmaking with Martin Scorsese all the way to cooking with the great Gordon Ramsay. In MasterClass, you will find practical lessons that you can apply to your life and work. So guys, get unlimited access to every class, and right now, as a John Campea Show listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off an annual membership. masterclass.com/Campea. So, Rob, I don't know. I think there's a lot of nuance to this issue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an easily answered thing. And I, as convinced as I sound, I can have my mind changed on this. I don't think Barbie and Oppenheimer were the reason that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning ended up, and it's weird to use the word underperforming for a movie that cracked $500 million, but still underperformed. What do you think about this?
Well, I think, like you said, it's nuanced. There's a number of reasons, but I think that the Barbieheimer phenomenon, first of all, it was fun. It was something that everybody could get involved in, and both movies are frankly quite original. We've seen nothing like them before, and the idea that Barbie was a candy-coated vision that had a lot going on, that was appealing to a number of people on a number of different levels. You had multi-generations who grew up with Barbie, wanted to see, well, how do you make a movie of Barbie? And then there was a lot to chew on, actually. I thought, when I saw Barbie, John, I was actually surprised at how much there was to chew on in the film itself.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting movie. And then also, same was true of Oppenheimer. The idea that a 3-hour historical epic became something that was a cause celeb for everybody, and the fact that this social media just turned it into a thing. So that being said, both movies delivered, and it was a very fun pop culture moment that just sort of happened. Now, Mission Impossible, as good as that franchise is, and it is a good franchise. I mean, it's been around for a long time. This is the 7th movie in the franchise, and I think there's a lot of people that are like, they'll get around to seeing. There's no urgency to see a Mission Impossible movie. There was definitely an urgency to participate in Barbieheimer, whatever that was, because it was a pop culture event. You needed to see those movies to be a part of the conversation. And I think, look, Mission Impossible, like all the Mission Impossible films, I think it's up to 550 million worldwide now.
If it's not there, it's closing in on.
Yeah, it's closing in.
522.
It's 522.
So it's getting there.
So it's respectable. I mean, it's not the lowest grossing film of the franchise. I know because of COVID protocols, they added $100 million to the budget.
Yeah, added a lot to the expense of it.
But still, I mean, I think it's definitely a durable, respectable franchise. Again, McQuarrie and Tom Cruise did great work. So did the rest of the cast. It was globe-trotting. The action was great, handsomely mounted. But it's the 7th movie in a franchise.
And when did the first one come out?
96.
So we're talking about almost 30 years ago.
Almost 30 years ago.
27 years that this is a 27-year-old franchise that's been.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe it just ran out of steam? I was talking to somebody the other day that said, look, once you've seen Tom Cruise climb the side of the building and halo jump and hang onto the side of a plane, what's left? I'm like, for me, a lot, but maybe for other fans, they're just like, well, we've seen this before.
Also, I think they really showed, their big showcase stunt, that jumping off by the time you go see the movie, you'd seen it. You'd seen it in IMAX theaters. You'd seen it a bunch of times. So don't give away your big showpiece stunts in your publicity materials, especially a year in advance. They were showing that making of IMAX short. We saw it at CinemaCon, and
we saw it at CinemaCon last April.
Yeah,
but in its defense, did you and I not get super excited when they showed us that? Right? Like, it did do its job, right?
I mean, it did do its job. I just seen it a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
So
with the delays and everything like that. So, and listen, hey, don't forget, it's still in theaters. The
and it's
final
made over $500 million.
Yeah, it's made over $500 million. The final chapter has not yet been written on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. We'll see how high it can go or if it stalls at this point. Hey guys, thanks for watching our video. Make sure you like and subscribe. But also, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and find it, the John Campea Show Podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your preferred podcasting app.